Greetings, Neocoma, Free the Land, Alafia, Abaragani, Habibi Fahoudie, Power to the People, Assalamu Alaikum, Shalom, what's happening, what's popping, what's cracking, what's really good. It's Manshu Edu of the Acoma House Initiative, culturally based counseling and consulting firm, coming to be with you briefly to explain a point. As we're out here in this landscape of relationships, right now there's like 1,000 people talking about relationships. Most of the people who are talking about relationships are first themselves unqualified. Peace to my brother Manzio. They're unqualified. That's a whole nother lesson. But this message that I'm sharing is for you as an individual. And this is basically what the message is. A lot of people think that they can get better in their relationship by doing two things. And these two things have value, but they don't increase your ability to be good at a relationship. And these two things are, people believe that they can consume content. And this comes in the form of reading books. This comes in the form of even the rare people go to seminars and other things like that. But the majority of them, what they consume is relationship content. This is problematic for two reasons. Number one, most of the stuff that's out there is poisonous, and it's not produced by people who are actually having success in beautiful relationships. It's being produced by people who have just the opposite experience. So they can talk about all the things that are wrong and why they're happening, but they can very seldomly talk about what is right and how to model that, right? So the thing that most people do is consume relationship content. It seems like, I've been in this business for over 20 years. It seems like everywhere you turn, somebody is talking about relationships. And again, most of these people are unqualified for a variety of reasons, but the simplest one being they don't have good relationships themselves. So this is the only zone of life where we resonate with people who talk to about our pain points, but we don't actually follow people who have achieved what it is that we're looking to achieve. In health and fitness, we don't do that. We don't follow people who are unhealthy and unfit on how to get fit. In money, we don't do that. We don't follow people who are broke and don't know anything about money, about what to do. But in relationships, we follow anybody that speaks to our pain, anybody that echoes our talking point, and the fact that they themselves are not good at relationships or don't have one is irrelevant, because what is really motivating us is the very definition of what we call trauma bonding, right? So people are bonding, but people think they could consume. We talking, and people like, oh, what's the name of that book? Oh, what's the name of that movie? What's the name of this? Or I'm watching this podcast. I follow this person, that person, this person, that person. You're trying to consume your way to a good relationship, and you can consume yourself into oblivion, but that won't help you. The next thing that people are doing is trying to vent their way to a good relationship. So when you come into our models, as the model that we use is skill development, we tell people you're going to do about 10 to 15% max of storytelling. In other words, telling what's wrong, telling your perspective, telling what happened. In fact, you could be successful with our programs without ever telling us what the problem is, right? Because we're not focused on what is the problem. What we're focused on are what is the skills that's going to help you be successful in a relationship. What are the skills that are going to help you harmonize styles, because men and women are not alike? What are the skills that's going to help you fight right, because you can't resolve conflicts without being immature, vindictive, and silly, right? Petty. What are the the techniques that are going to help you communicate in an efficient, elegant, and effective way, right? We don't have this. We just pour out and beat each other up, talk each other to death, or don't say anything and stonewall each other. And then we can't even communicate about what we're really thinking and feeling. But a lot of people think, let me just tell you what happened. This is the situation, right? Let me tell you, then this happened, and he did this, and then she did this. And they want to talk, and vent out all the emotions and the pain and the thinking and the feelings that they have. This holds a place, but it won't help your relationship. And this is why we're having a problem. You see a mass exodus of black people going into counseling. I train therapists. I've trained over 30 therapists. I work with therapists as clients. Many of my clients are therapists, right? And relationship therapists. Most people don't know that 85% of therapists are themselves single, because 8 out of 10 of us are single despite their job. Doctor, therapist, lawyer, whatever, we're single. And this is showing that we don't understand something about relationships. So even the way we're trained as clinical therapists, I have a master's degree. Nawasha has a master's degree in this field. Even the way we're trained, this field is a farce a lot of times. The people mean well, and the therapists themselves are good-hearted people, and they got in this industry to help. But this is an industry that is driven by not even medical professionals. It's driven by big business, big pharma. Pharmaceutical agencies want you to diagnose somebody with a problem that they can't deal with on themselves and regulate their mood or behavior. And so you need to prescribe them a drug. But many black people are going to therapy. They have no concept of what a therapist is or the process of therapy. So they go in there just wanting to vent, and talk their heart out. Yes, that does have value, but black people, just like consuming content won't increase your relationship skill, venting out your heart and mind will not create relationship success, because it's not building any skill. And what we see often when we do our intakes, we ask people, have you ever worked with a therapist? Have you ever worked with a counselor? Have you ever worked with a coach? And many people will say yes. And we say, how was that experience for you? Who was it and how was the experience? And people will invariably say that it felt good in the beginning, or you know, I felt like the therapist was taking sides. Or what we hear the most is, I just went, talk. And after a while, I got tired of just processing pain. I got tired of just talking about the issues. It was a monotony, and we were in therapy for a long time. Do you know, a lot of people who talk to us tell us that they're in therapy for 3, 4, 6, I've heard 8 years. Listen, I tell them all the time, you can get a degree in therapy in all those times. You don't need to go to therapy for the rest of your life. But what you always need to do is to develop your skill set. The same way you get continuing education credits in your industry, the same way if you're going to stay fit, you're going to have to continue to manage what you eat and how you move and how you sleep and manage stress. Anything that requires perpetual success will require perpetual development. So the ignorant and the arrogant will say to us often, well, we don't need counseling right now because we don't have a problem. You don't get gas in your car because you ran out of gas. You keep gas in your car so you don't run out of gas. So we're not offering relationship counseling because you got a problem. We're offering psychological reparation, which is the healing of your individual and collective trauma, relationship education, which is the art and science, or the why and how, or the feminine and masculine of Black love culture. And then we're offering psychological reparation, relationship education, and then cultural initiation, the collective experience that we need to have in order to make the thing stick. Everybody wants to hide away the problem they have and not have a group dynamic around what they're dealing with. But we all dealing with the same 6 or 7 problems, and most of our limited thinking And our problems are based from the community, not the individual. In fact, what you believe is possible, what you believe is true, what you believe is doable, what you believe is a lie, and all of that comes from the larger community. So if we're going to practice best practices, what is two people who have best practices around relationship worth being out here in a world full of a bunch of idiots? Nothing. They'll be taken over. So we have to normalize these things on a collective scale. And for a lot of people, we're seeing a mass exodus into counseling. I predict within the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a mass exodus out of this so-called traditional counseling, because it's not addressing our cultural issue, and it's not functional in terms of skill development. What it is somebody process pain. I ask people all the time, what is the style of counseling that you have when you go to counseling? Most people go to counseling for years. They pay money out of pocket. They pay their insurance. They have no idea. It's not one style of counseling. It's 1,000 styles of counseling. Most people are going to rational emotive therapy, rational emotive behavioral therapy called REBT, or the most common one, that's the second common one, where you're just rationalizing your emotional behavior in a therapeutic environment. You're doing that. But the one most people have is cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're just cognition. You're just thinking about your behavior or absence of behavior and trying to find reasoning and meaning from it that serves you. This is the longest, drawn out, most ineffective way to be in counseling. And it is what 90% of people are doing in counseling. So this is a field that you can't just come into, invent your stories out, and get better at relationships. But the thing that is going to make you better at relationships is developing relationship skill. Everybody has the will to be in a relationship, but the question is, do you have the skill to operate a relationship? And this is why we teach skills, and we've codified hundreds of skills down into what we call the Super 7 soulmate skills, right? And with these skills, you're going to be able to make a relationship thrive and survive for perpetuity. Without these skills, you're going to fall victim to the pettiness. You're going to fall victim to the arguing. You're going to fall victim to the stinking thinking and the horrible beliefs that actually work against you. You're going to fall victim to the fear and the insecurity within your relationship. You won't be able to trust. You won't understand how to communicate effectively. You're going to fall victim to the garbage that you see out here, and then you're going to go try to consume and watch 1,000 videos and read a couple books, and even the more elevated people will go to seminars and workshops. The next higher group, they're going to try to vent and go to their pastor, spiritual leader, and most of them are unmated, or they will go and unskilled, respectfully. They're skilled in the spiritual realm, but they're not skilled as relationship therapists or people that could coach you into excellent relationships. And most of them, because of their exegesis and their focus on their vocation, they don't even have the time to do that. So they will refer you to your spiritual book to read some stuff, and that's just more consuming. But then the highest level will say, okay, let's break down, let's go to a trained professional. And you go to these people who mean well, but the way that they've been trained is just to let you talk, so we can break apart everything you're saying, diagnose you as having some kind of problem that you can't control yourself, with the ultimate goal of giving you some medication. And that's what the industry is about. I heard Dr. Umar say one time that he referenced the song by Biggie Smalls, More Money, More Problems. But he said this industry is about more problems, more money, because people don't understand the reason that every couple years a new diagnosis comes out and seems to sweep the country, or seems to sweep the world. Now everybody has this, is because a new medication has been created from the pharmaceutical industries that is driving the need to have that classification. So black people are horribly walking around thinking this is their identity. So many times a person say, I have this, or I have that. I've been diagnosed as this and that. And I ask them, what does that mean? They can't even explain it. But they have taken a idea that has been given to them, and the sole purpose that idea was given to them in the first place was to diagnose them and give them some medication. And they don't know it. Now, black people are the most resistant to medication, unless they have things that they think can't be solved, like severe autism or some other kind of thing, right? Then they're like, oh, I just can't do it on my own, so I'll take medication. That's not even true. But on the lower end, when it comes to depression and other things, we're very resistant. In the whole industry, all the black therapists can tell you this, the whole industry knows that black people are resistant to taking medications. That's more of a Caucasian and other thing, right? And so we are actually shunned a lot in this industry because they can't get us hooked on meds the way they can others and people from other communities. Now, there are exceptions. A lot of you do take medications, but a lot of the medications you take is unnecessary. It's the same in the physical health world. 85%, 95% of the disease that we have is from auto-intoxication. In other words, we are eating ourselves into sickness, right? That's happening because emotionally we have and psychologically we have extreme unrest, and we've been miseducated about what is healthy and what is not. So we eat ourselves into sickness, and then we say, this runs in my family or this runs in my family. Bad decision making and poor diet runs in your family. 95% of everything, sickle cell, all the stuff that black people are diagnosed with is lifestyle related. And 95% of it could be avoided. The same is true in our psychological dispensation of our personality. We live in a crazy world, right? None of us would doubt that we live in a crazy world. And if you don't have a high level skill, it's almost impossible to maintain a thriving intimate relationship. The intimate relationship is different than all other kind of relationships. So don't tell me you communicate well because everybody at your job knows you communicate well. My clients are blacks in leadership. They've written best-selling books. Some of them got movies out. Some of them are in politics. Some of them speak for a living. But in the intimate relationship, it's a whole different type of communication. So you can't use who you are in other spheres of life as proof that you should be quality in a relationship. All of us are good people. Very few of us are good partners, because to be good partners, you have to have a skill that will allow you to effectively make a relationship work. Now, you could consume everything that the internet has, and that's not building skill. You can go to counseling 8 times a week and vent out every emotion and thought and idea and tell the therapists who don't even want to hear the shit 1,000 stories about this happened and that happened and that happened, and they're just going to reflect back to you. How did that make you feel? What did you think about that? What do you think you should do? And da-da-da-da. They're going to give you all of this verbiage and this style of the way that they've been trained for them to eventually get you to admit you can't manage this by yourself, and you can't without skills or without community. None of us can. So you're going to eventually come to that realization, and it's at that moment that they're going to say, I got this Seroquel, I got this Abilify, I got some kind of drug that is going to make you able to focus, to be more calm, to regulate your mood, etc., etc. And when we fall for that, because we think this person is a trained professional, and I want to be clear, a lot of these people are not out to get you. Many of them believe this stuff because they went to school for 4 to 6 years to get this training. And so they actually believe it. But even with them, I worked at multiple counseling firms in my development, and most of the, what a lot of people don't know, most therapists are in therapy because it's a high load dealing with 200 clients that got a bunch of issues on top of your regular life. So you need a place to dump. And as I said, dumping has its value. There's something cathartic about letting out your feelings. So I'm not demonizing the fact that you want to dump. What I'm telling you is dumping, just like over consuming gender war content, 1,000 videos and a little quick sound bites and the salacious, sensational diatribes of people who you don't have no idea who the hell these people are, and you never can see their relationship to confirm that what they're saying actually works even in their life. There is no vetting of these people. It's just a soundbite clip. See, what I think is wrong with women, what I think is wrong with men, and what I think we need to do, and it's your mom, and you didn't have no, all of this stuff. And everybody in the audience clapping, or somebody like, ooh, this is a point. You can consume that stuff till you blue in the face. When it comes time for you to be able to have life and love purpose and to understand why you are with the person you're with and why you're alive. When it comes time for you to have conscious courting, that's if you're single, that means selecting, vetting, and committing to a mate. But if you're married or mating, that means creating a responsible community around you of people who are where you are or who are where you want to be to help you get distinction and perspective. Number 3, if you can't, that won't help you develop 3D communication that's deep, deliberate, and dynamic. It won't help you be effective, eloquent, and efficient, and elegant in your talking. Number 4, that won't help you harmonize styles. Men and women are nothing alike. And if you're a woman who haven't got specific training on how to deal with a man, or if you're a man who hasn't gotten specific training on how to deal with the woman, not just your woman, but women, because the psychology of women is consistent. The psychology and behavior of men is consistent. Yes, there are nuances with your individual, but most of us enter into dealing with the complement sex, and we really use the term opposite sex. We're against that term at the Akoma House Initiative because it programs the mind to believe that you should be opposing each other. You're not an opposite, an opposition, or an opposer. You're a complement, one that completes, or one that works in coordination or harmony like a lock and a key. You are actually made for each other, and that's the reason why you're different. So number 4, if you can't harmonize styles, you can't win at love. And 98% of people cannot harmonize styles. They critique and complain about their partner because their partner is different from them. Number 5, you got to be able to master intimacy and sex. It is emotional vulnerability that creates intimacy. And then when you take intimacy and put it in its proper cultural context, you can have African holistic sex, right? That is different than you can learn about the orgasm from an African paradigm. That an orgasm is only when a man and a woman have a simultaneous climax. Everything else is an ejaculation or an ejaculation. So you can't masturbate yourself to an orgasm because an orgasm requires 2 people, right? And so there's so much miseducation we have culturally, but we've been taught that our ancestors didn't really know anything and they were primitive by the people who oppress us. So number 5, you got to have intimacy and sex. Number 6, you got to be able to resolve conflict effectively and efficiently. Most couples, the best couples in the world, have 6 to 10 conflicts a week. From the littlest conflicts of things like I don't want to eat what you want to eat, to the larger conflicts like the way we're raising the children, or money, or your family, or my family, or larger life decisions. If you don't have a system to resolve conflicts, not a theory, but an actual, okay, we're in a fight, it's time to fight right. What's step 1? What's step 2? What's step 3? How do we get out of this conflict? If you don't have that, this is the thing that takes most relationships over. After a while, you realize you can't win all the time, and then you start to withdraw. You either will eventually break up, or you will exist in your relationship as a modicum of yourself, a version of yourself that is very guarded and psychologically sensitive to the unresolved trauma. So resolving conflict is primal. And then finally, number 7 is a power couple love legacy. Your relationship is more than just about you. It's to serve not only your family, your children, and the people around you, your community, but it is to serve for perpetuity. God brings two people together for a divine reason. Yes, there's personal reasons in your relationship, and there's a part of your relationship that's intimate, private, and sacred from everyone. But the rest of your relationship, like 85% of it, is for everyone else. When the two purposes come together, they magnify and crystallize into one purpose that will make the rest of the greater good benefit. We try to crystallize that in the name of this page. Mansho and Nawasha combined is Manwasha. So neither one of my name is not Manwasha and her name is not Manwasha. And we post equally. I was just arguing yesterday with some idiots who were responding to, why are you saying this if you are a man, etc., etc., etc. And it was Nawasha who had put the comment out. So I do more videos than her, but we post equally on this page because we share the page. So much so that the name that we use here is a combination of both of our names. That's an ancient African concept called soulmate twins, right? Where the two now become a one that is unique and distinct from the two, right? So these are the Super 7 soulmate skills. Life and love purpose, conscious courting, 3D communication, harmonizing of styles, intimacy and sex, resolving conflict, and a power couple love legacy. Of these three, the ones that I see they're all equally important, but the ones that are most important right now, 3D communication, it's the gateway skill to all the other skills. If you don't have that, you don't have jack. And we teach a 3-minute, 2-minute speaking, 1-minute reflecting technique that will help you be able to talk about anything in an efficient, effective, and elegant way. The next one is harmonizing styles. Because men and women are not alike, we understand that intellectually, but then when we get in a relationship, we try to change our partner and make them like us. When we can't do that successfully, then we go on a tirade of critiquing them or withdrawing from them because they're not like us. And eventually, that's why the song is so big. They not like us. That shit can be applicable to the actual intimate relationship, not some strange outside community, or individual, but the real person that you sleep in the bed with is not like you, right? And so if you don't have that skill, you're going to be dead, because men are never going to be like women and women are never going to be like men. And so if we keep having the drive and the affinity to come together, but we can't reconcile the fact that we're very different, our relationships are on this crazy 8 cycle of being very short-lived, or we'll stay in relationships with somebody who's so different than us that we show up as an inauthentic, disingenuous version of ourselves, right? And then finally, the third skill that is most important is resolving conflict, because so many conflicts come up in a relationship that if you don't have a skill set to resolve these conflicts, they eventually take your relationship over and destroy and end your relationship. Whether you die and separate, or you live as a walking dead in the relationship you're in. So these are the 7 skills. These are the skills that you must have to deserve a relationship. I mean, to earn a relationship. Let me tell you this, black people. Every single person, as a black person, deserves the best quality relationship, the relationship of their wildest dreams. But the only people that will have a relationship like that are the people who earn it. You're not going to get a high-level relationship because you deserve one. Deserving love is not special. It's beautiful, but it's not special. There isn't a black human being on this earth that doesn't deserve love. So you claiming that you deserve love doesn't make you special. The question is, did you earn love? And the only way you can earn love is to have a high level skill. And I'm here to tell you that most adults that I find around the world, on a scale of 1 to 10, you need a 7, 8, 9, 10 with occasional 10 level skills in these 7 skills. Most people rest at like a 3 or a 2. And their relationships reflect that. So I'm here to say to you that you cannot consume your way to a great relationship. You can watch all the podcasts you want. You can watch all the YouTube videos, Instagram lives, and all of that stuff you want. Read all the books. That is not development of skill. And that's not a pathway to a great relationship. It's a start, but it has some value, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 2 or 3 value. Number 2, you can vent out. You can go to counseling for years and sit on the couch, the therapeutic couch, and tell your story, and tell your story to your friends, and tell your story to your journal, and tell your story to the Babalawo, imam, senor, pastor, minister, whatever. You can vent it all out. Consuming and venting will not increase your relationship. The only thing that will increase your relationship is the development of skill. Listen, we all got the will to love, but only a few of us have the skill to love. Fortunately for you, our business, our model, and our life mission, our purpose for being together is to help initiate unity through love, through the development of skills. And we've taken all the hundreds of skills that we see and codified them down into these Super 7 skills. We got a program starting tonight. Akoma Soul is our premier relationship skills building program. If anybody is interested in coming into this program, it's a 90% discount. So you're paying pennies for something that would cost you thousands of dollars, right? 7 weeks, 14 sessions. We're going to spend 2 sessions on every skill. And we're going to teach you not theory, not an idea, not an opinion, not some relationship advice. We're going to teach you the technique to do something transformative in each one of these skills. If you're interested, send a message here, pass it on. Understand, you cannot consume and or venture way to the relationship of your wildest dreams. You got to develop the skill, baby. You got to take the will and transfer the will into highly developed skills. So looking forward to serving you as always. Your brother in Black Love, greeting you in the eternal words of Black Love culture and saying, Nia Akoma, get with us. Akoma Soul is the wave.